When you think about power, when you talk about power, how do you think about that word, that concept in and of itself?
Well, I like to begin it with the idea of powerlessness to sort of set off why power is so important to humans. And essentially, the feeling that you have no control, as you say, over your environment, but let's boil it down to you have no control over the behavior of your children. You can't get your spouse has some irritating habits. You have no control. You can't change that. You're in your career, and you're kind of stuck somewhere, and you've got an awful boss. And there's nothing you can do, and just the future doesn't look good. That sense of powerlessness and lack of control will warp your spirit, will warp your soul, and it will lead to all kinds of neurotic behavior and health issues, quite frankly. And this has been documented. So the idea begins, you can't have complete control. It's impossible. Things are too random. Nobody could have predicted the pandemic, for instance. You have no control over that. Things happen. I suffered a stroke 4 years ago. I had no control over that, although perhaps I could have maybe been a little bit more preventive. But, as they say, shit happens. So, but the idea is you want a margin of control. You want a little bit more control than you normally have in your life right at this moment. And so the idea is, for me, in order to get this margin of control, you have to also have control over yourself. So it's not just power over people, because I'm not talking about the ability to manipulate people, although that is something I talk about in the 48 Laws of Power. You want to be able to influence them. You want to get them to be interested in your ideas. You want to change their behavior. You want to have the ability to direct your career path, but also yourself. You are the source of your own problems in life. It's a theme I hammer into my readers over and over again. The bad things that happen to you are not always, but are often stem from something you've done, or you are at least partly responsible for it. You don't have power or control over your own emotions. They kind of run rampant. You're not aware of them. You're not in control of your own patterns of behavior. You tend to repeat the same kind of strategies. We are compulsive creatures. So it begins with awareness of yourself and the ability to have some kind of mastery over the primitive part of our nature, over the emotions, and not suppressing emotions, you need them, but the ability to control some of your darker impulses, to be able to control what you say to people so you don't just spout things that are going to offend them, right? So if you have that sense of power over yourself, then all the other things that we're talking about will kind of emanate, will kind of flourish from that kind of core essence, I believe.